Hey, what's up? I'm Hype. I play games, make games, and everything in between. And today we are playing some of my favorite games in HypeHype. HypeHype is a cool app that lets you make and play games all on your phone, kind of like the TikTok of games. There's thousands of games, and it's really easy to create your own game or go into a game someone else has already made and remix it and change it up in your own way. Today we have Colorize the World by Taneli, who is a great developer in HypeHype. Lots of cool games. I highly recommend you check them out and follow them. Links are down below. And we can see that this one here has been played over 300,000 times. And while I play this game, trying to get a high score, afterwards I'll go into the game, hit the remix button, and take a look around and see how it was made. And while playing this game, I'll describe things that I like about this game, some of the mechanics, and see why this is such a great game that you should definitely check out. If you like this kind of content where I make and play games, please hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon for more notifications as I put out content around everything games in HypeHype. As the game starts, we can see we have about 250 uncolored objects, and the game is pretty straightforward. You just take your main character. Oh, I missed a spot. I'll put that at the end. And everywhere the player goes, whatever the player touches, gives color to this world. So it's a really fun world where everything is just a basic white color, and you gotta move all over around the house using the joystick pad on the left and the jumping button on the right. You can also tap the screen to move the perspective of the camera, which is a really great feature and gives everything that 3D 360 view. So one of the tricky things about this level is you gotta make sure you get all the, there's a cute dog. You gotta make sure you get all the tiles. Some of them are kind of stuck underneath the house, so you gotta get the player super close. The gameplay mechanics, super simple. You understand what you're supposed to do immediately into the game. And yeah, you just run around the world trying to go as fast as you can. I kind of do wish that there was a timer that lets you see what your time is. Oh, and let's get that last one. We're missing two. Okay, there's one. And gotta be another one. Okay, and got this last one. Oh, I got 144. That's 5th place, top 5. I'll take it. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. And we can do this by hitting the remix button. And now this takes us behind the scenes. We can see there's a lot going on. Now the white here is pretty white, so I'm gonna go and darken it a little bit just so that we can see a little bit better. And to do that, just go into the visuals, select color, ambient, and then just turn it down a little bit. First things first is we wanna turn the logic on, and we can see that there are some invisible objects like this blue wall, which keeps the character in the bounds of this world. And here we can see that there are some blue spheres around the flowers. Now all this does, it creates a sensor for the flower so that the character doesn't have to specifically touch the flowers because they are kind of small. This just helps it so when the player touches the sphere, it changes the color of the flower. So let's zoom out. We can see we got some camera movement over here. And then this looks like a timer that keeps track and calls for the game success. So there was just a recent update in HypeHype, and there's all these little dots that help highlight where objects are. We can see by selecting this ground object, there's a collision trigger group green, which the character probably has that group. So let's confirm that right now. Right there, object green. So when this character touches this object, it causes the collision trigger, and that collision trigger changes the visual slot material to brown. That's how these change colors. And then it also causes a particle effect to happen along with a broadcaster output. Now this broadcaster, broadcast listeners, these are great nodes to use in the game. It helps all the pieces talk to each other. That probably counts down that number of 250 objects down each time an object is collided by the character. As we can see, the ground objects and the trees are all put together one piece at a time. We have the cute dog, Pero en Español. I'm trying to learn some Spanish while I'm in Mexico City. And here we can see that this has a broadcaster, and it has the broadcaster for the colored item. Here we can see when we look at the collision trigger, it's got the visual material for the dog, different colors, and then the broadcaster keeping track of the total count of uncolorized items. And then also another broadcaster causing the dog to move. If you noticed in the game, as soon as we collided with the dog, it started running around the tree. Really fun, polished detail in the game. And I love these kind of details. I think they add a lot to a game. And this is why I always say polishing is really important, because maybe most players won't notice these little aspects of funness in the game, but I notice them, and I think they help make the game what it is, from a fun game to an extra exciting game that just has a lot of dynamic life to it. And again, we can just go around here, we can look at all the objects. They have collision triggers with the green group, changing the visual material, slots, and broadcasters. Now let's find out where these objects are, because they're somewhere in this world. Sometimes they're hard to find. And here we go. So here we see that there's the object. So we got the tree, we got the flower, we got another tree. So when you see objects like this, if you select the tree, you can go all the way down to the object and notice that it is a reference object. So this object will not be in the game, but is used as a reference for the objects that are in the game. And when you want to just put this in the game, you can select this spinning cube, hit duplicate, and select create new instance, and you can see that this object has a green outline around it, which means that it will be in the game itself. You can see that with all these objects here. This has a green outline. Car does not have a green outline, so this one does not have a reference object. Flowers have a green outline, and the tiles have a green outline. Next, we got the game logic. Let's hit the show. We got mainly broadcast listeners, broadcaster, a leaderboard, a timer to keep track of the time, and most importantly, the math operator and compare operator. These are some of the most powerful nodes in HypeHype. I use them all the time, but I'm still trying to learn how to use them better. So let's see what's going on here. Here we have a value A of 250, and we know that that is how many objects are uncolored in the beginning of the game. It looks like what happens is whenever there is a broadcast signal, or whenever this broadcast listener receives item colored, which is attached to all the uncolored items, giving it a value of 1, that goes into the math operator tracks. Here we can see it says subtracts, and then from here that changes the text, which we saw on the screen, and then here this math operator goes back into the value A, reducing the number until we get to 0. And then here we have the compare, which takes that value A, and when that value A becomes less or equal to 1, which is what we saw at the very end of the game, this broadcaster is executed, which is called Colorize the player. And here's the broadcast listener for Colorize the player, and this signals the end of the game. There seems like there is a lot going on, and there is a lot going on, but it all happens one at a time, basically counting down from 250. Here we have the ground tiles, we got the grass tiles, and these are all the reference objects in the game. And then the other objects such as the dog, the car, the soccer ball, these are all primary objects, meaning that they have no reference object. Lastly, over here we have the soccer goal with this rectangle, which also helps the collision, the soccer goal, making it easier for the player to touch this collision piece and change the color. I want to take a look at the flower, and we can see that there is a flower component in here. Whenever you're not sure of what something is, select the question mark. It will bring up the wiki.hypehype page and go into detail explaining how certain elements work in the game. And we can see that this is a reusable, explaining that the flower is a part of that sphere. Yeah, but this is cool. This is the inside look into Colorize the player. If you like this kind of gameplay and breakdown of the games, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And if you have a game in HypeHype you would like me to check out, please let me know in the comments below. Till next time, stay safe out there. I'm Hype C, and peace.